studying, I studied with a guy who was a powerbuilding national champion, and I was chatting to him one day, and he was telling me how we're talking about tapering, recovering, all those sorts of things related to sport. And because I came from an endurance sport background, he came from a powerlifting background, the philosophies are quite different. But what was very interesting I found is that because as a powerlifter, what you're trying to improve is your 1 rep max. You're trying to see how much weight you can lift or push, and that is the level of where you're at. So I asked him, I said, how long do you recover after a 1 rep max? And his answer was very surprising. He said it takes him 3 weeks to recover from a 1 rep max. So, one contraction, a maximal contraction, he said that it'll take him 3 weeks of time of recovery before he's able again to push that 1 rep max. And I find it very interesting because, with an endurance sport, you're not pushing the muscle to that degree. You're pushing it maybe to 50% or 40% in terms of contractility of the muscle. And so, when we look at recovery, when we look at tapering, when we look at periodization, those things need to be taken into account. And so, the first thing is the recovery. What is the recovery that we need? And if you look at it, the recovery in terms of a yearly cycle, in terms of a weekly cycle, in terms of a monthly cycle, or mesocycle, if you want to call it that, the recovery is obviously the important part that we need to consider, because being able to push yourself is what is going to give you the gains, is going to give you the next level. And so structuring your recovery is obviously the first important part. So if you look at it on a yearly scale, your recovery, you need to at least have a period of time. I recommend between 4 and 6 weeks of complete deconditioning, no training whatsoever. And what that allows is it allows the body to resettle. It allows, very importantly, the hormonal state to stabilize again, because when you're pushing yourself so hard for so long, the hormones actually take a hit. You produce a lot of cortisol, and that over a long period of time is not healthy if you don't give it a break. Let the body recover from that. And also the heart, the heart needs to recover. So if you look at that on a yearly scale, that recovery is the most important part. If you look at it on a monthly or mesocycle scale, you need to have the recovery within the program, within your training program, so that after the recovery you're able to push. And then you also need the recovery in terms of a daily cycle. So you need to have a good night's sleep. You need to be able to replenish the body with nutrients and give it the rest it needs in order to train the next day. And so, starting off with recovery is a very important approach to start with your training. When you want to look at tapering, periodization, and recovery as a whole, you want to start with the recovery and make sure that your recovery phases are properly put in place. We often think about the training as the training, and you think of how hard you want to push yourself and what sessions you're going to do, but the more important thing to that is adaptation, is so that your body can actually adapt to the stresses that you've given it, and not only improve daily, weekly, monthly, but yearly, year in and year out. And so if you don't rest on a regular basis in a consistent cyclical way so that your body can recover, your body's not going to improve. And I think that's what I see most amongst age group athletes, is they stop the sport long before they reach their potential. And it's because they haven't given it enough years. And the reason they haven't given it enough years is because they haven't allowed their bodies to recover after each season, so that they can then build back and take the next step and take the next level. they burn out and they lose interest for the sport. So the recovery and also the freshness, the mental ability to push yourself is very, very dependent on the recovery and the rest. And so the foundation for any training program is actually when you are resting. And so that's the first thing we've got to get right when you're planning for training.